everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to go ahead and get started with our webinar. And we have with us today, Barbara Bonnet. She is the Director of Business Operations with the 628th Contracting Squadron out of Joint Base Charleston. And she's going to be speaking with us today and giving us an overview of the products and services that they purchase, along with upcoming solicitation opportunities. And she's also going to provide an overview of capability statement and what that is and what she looks for. A capability statement is a one-page document and explains the services and products your business provides and any other relevant information that government buyers need to have. And Barbara's going to go more into detail with that. So we definitely look forward to that information. And also, after she presents, we're going to have a Q&A session. And for this, just want to give you some instructions for that. You will be able to submit your questions via the chat. So if at any point you have a question, go ahead and enter that through the chat in Microsoft Teams. Please include your name and address with the question, just in case we need to follow up with you later while we're asking for that information. All right, and now just a bit about PTAC South Carolina before we get started. We are a free resource for South Carolina businesses who are interested in doing business with the federal, state, or local government. And PTAC is an acronym for Procurement Technical Assistance Center. We provide procurement technical assistance, and that includes help registering with government organizations so that you can do business with the federal, state, or local government, marketing to the government, bid match assistance. We have a full list of our services on our website, which I will give you a little bit later. And during this presentation, you might hear something you want to know more about. You might want to know how you can apply it to your business. You might have a follow-up question. And these are things that we can help you with and things that we help our clients with. If you are a PTAC South Carolina client, so if you are not a client and would like to become one or interested in how to become one, you can sign up through our website at ptacsc.org. It's at the bottom of the slide there. It doesn't cost anything to sign up for our services if you are interested in that. And some indicators that you might be ready to do business with the government and to pursue some of these opportunities that Barbara's going to present for us today is I have them listed here. So your business should be registered with the South Carolina Secretary of State. You want to be in the position to perform contract requirements, demonstrate capability, integrity, and reliability to assure good faith performance if you were to get a contract with the government. Have past performance experience, and this could be in the commercial or the government sector. And having past performance experience is not a requirement, but it is something that's looked favorably upon when doing business with the government. And if you are interested in doing business with the federal government, you will need to have obtained your DUNS number. And there's also a link on our website for information about how to do that. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Barbara now, and I'm going to pull up her PowerPoint. And Barbara, let me know when you want me to switch.
Sure.
Yeah, that, and
Absolutely.
I will do that. All right, take it away.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for attending this session. I am Barbara Bonnet, as Ms. Felder said. I'm the Director of Business Operation for the 628th Contracting Squadron at Joint Base Charleston. When I state Joint Base Charleston, it's actually a couple different locations. So we have the Naval Weapons Station in Goose Creek. We have Charleston Air Force Base in North Charleston, and we also have some other satellite facilities too. So we manage most of the requirements here on Charleston Air Force Base, but we are members of Joint Base Charleston. Next slide. As you're aware, with any military briefing, just about any business briefing, you'll always get a mission and vision statement. with us, our mission is always to provide mission-ready forces to our combatant commanders, right? We have our makeup here in the contracting squadron is about 30% military, 70% civilian. And our civilians train our military to go off and do the business that's needed for the combatant commanders. And in doing that, it goes with our vision to provide those premier contracting personnel to to the Air Force as a whole. And we've been very successful. Every military member we've sent out has come back with accolades. They are highly motivated, they learn, but that does cause sometimes some problems with contractors that we always try to explain in order to get training. Our military have contract solicitations, but if they deploy, they move around. So a lot of times we hear, you guys have changed contract administrators or contracting officers a lot. And that is the reason why is we always want to make sure our military are ready. That's our #1 mission. And then keeping the mission here at Joint Base Charleston going. All right, next slide. So what we do and who we do it for too. We pretty much purchase anything and everything that's needed for Joint Base Charleston. It comes through us. We take care of the 628th Air Base Wing, which is in charge of the installation and mission support. And then we have the 437th Airlift Wing. They have their own portion of the installation and they are more mission oriented. The 315th Reserve Airlift Wing, they are our reserve unit. They have a steady state here, but they have weekend exercises about once a month that come here to Joint Base Charleston. Along with that, we have a lot of DoD and federal tenants that we provide installation support. We have the Naval Weapons Station. We have the, Nuclear Power Technical and the NNPTC. Those are the nuke schools we have over at the weapons station. We also have ASBN. They are the Army that loads up ships and railroad tracks, railroads, trains, and all that. Our brig is that is our jail. And we have one on the Naval Weapons Station, and there are quite a few others. NIWC is a big institution. It's a it's the Naval Warfare Center, but they provide, they have their own support for most everything they do other than facility support. So anything in their facilities or, outside, we take care of that, but they have their own contracting people and they also do their own contract briefings. You'll see them do that. They center more on software development, very high security type technical stuff, and they will work with you as a small business if you're into that area. We also have MOAs, which are agreements that we have with different tenant units that basically describe what we support for them. The tenants only receive installation support such as NIWC, and then we have supported units, which are the nuclear power training centers. And those we provide anything pretty much they need. They just have to refund us. The wing itself doesn't pay for that. But yes, next slide. So I wanted to let everybody know kind of the order of precedence on how we do business. We have a government purchase card and we have many government purchase card holders throughout the wing. They are authorized to make purchases up to $10,000 on their card. And if you have a GSA contract, they're actually allowed to go up to $25,000. So many of the smaller purchases that we used to handle, office supplies, printers, some computers, we no longer handle those. Those are farmed out to the different units who manage their own funds for those smaller requirements. Anything that goes over that amount is a purchase request that comes to us as a Form 9, and that Form 9 will then go into the purchase request are for smaller buys, right? And they'll give us a Form 9, smaller buys up to $250,000. You'll probably get a purchase request. Anything over that, we have different types of contract and different contract instruments that we would be able to utilize to work with you. There's also military interdepartmental PR, which is the MIPR. We do about 2.6 million in that, and basically that's where we take Air Force funds and we transfer it to the Navy or the Army Corps of Engineering, and they do the contracts for us, such as dredging out there, repairs on our wharfs and piers. You know, those our Navy Corps, Army Corps, they take care of those bigger items. And again, about $2.6 million of our funds went out through MIPRS last year. Next slide. So one of the things, we always get a lot of questions as to what we purchase. So this is by product service code, what we spent in FY21. And excuse me, what you'll see is most of our spend was repair and alteration, construction, you know, housekeeping. So a lot of facility support, and that's where most of our funding goes. We, again, as I spoke before, inside our office, we no longer buy the smaller purchases, but let's say there's, they want to buy 200 computers for the wing, excuse me. They want to buy 200 computers for the wing, which exceeds the amount. They would come through us, but we utilize, we have a lot of mandatory tools we have to use, such as GSA, Apway, or it's changed now. A lot of different mandatory tools, but one of the first things we always go to is see if we can purchase things through GSA other than construction. With construction, our offices will post out a sources sought or an RFI to see who might be interested. Those that respond actually help us in determining what socioeconomic set aside we're going to be utilizing. If all we receive is just straight small business, we'll do a small business set aside. But if we have, you know, 2 to 4 8As or 2 to 4 veteran-owned small businesses or service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses, then we'll go in that direction. But we're always looking to set aside to different socioeconomic classes, but we need those responses in order to ensure that we're hitting the target market. All right, next slide. So these are some of our biggest contracts that we did. You'll see that South Carolina Electric and Gas is probably the highest amount. Those guys, you know, we've got to keep this base running. As I said, we have 2 different locations, the Naval Weapons Station and the Air Force Base, along with satellite areas, and it takes a lot to run an installation this size. Defender Contracting and Construction is our biggest contractor, and the reason we list this too is even if you can't qualify as a prime contractor, you can look at these and contact these contractors to see if there are subcontracting possibilities through them. All right, next slide. We have 3 different flights within our squadron, and the first flight I'll discuss is our commodities and services flight, ran by Miss Anna Uridia, and they purchase everything from, you'll see on the left-hand side is Big Blue. It's the biggest crane we have that loads and offloads the ships. And then we also have on the right-hand side, the train and caboose that we manage also. We are the only DoD installation that within a 6-mile radius takes care of piers, wharfs, railroads, airfields. So we have an international airfield, and we manage a lot of the stuff even for the Charleston International Airport, such as response, emergency response. We take care of the runway. We do a lot of the other things that most bases aren't doing when they share a runway flight line with an international airport. And in Miss Anna's Commodities and Services flight, they purchase everything from facility maintenance services to our cooks at the galley. And then they also purchase smaller supplies, like, you know, they're currently looking at doing a flight line security camera, those types of products. Go to the next slide, please. So here are some of the upcoming solicitations that are going to be out. I apologize for the first one that I didn't remove that one, but we have a lot of smaller, for us, smaller is less than 5 million requirements that are going to be going out. If you're interested in any of these right now, we have them, most of them set aside as small business. You know, our tugboats are very specific as to what they can manage, so that is a large business. And our yard truck leasing is also a specific vehicle that we're having to manage, so that's why they are a large business and they are actually sole sources. But here, like I said, here are some of the requirements. And when I say, you know, they're upcoming solicitation, if you have not gone to sam.gov, this is where you'll be able to see these requirements once they post them out. Most of these have already had RFIs to determine what the set aside is going to be, and that's why this decision was made, and you'll see it there. Next slide. And then some of our smaller purchases. Currently we have the light and lamp replacement on the wharfs. And so with smaller requirements, it's very hard to give you projections because most of these are received and purchased within 30 days. So the turnaround on this is very quick. It's hard to really give you a projection of what's coming in because we don't determine the requirement. The requirement comes from our customer. All right, next slide. And our second flight is our construction flight, and that's ran by Mr. Rob Hale. The picture on there that you see is going to be our new passenger air terminal. It has been a long ongoing project that caused a default in a contractor, and we have a new contractor on now that is doing an amazing job. But it has been in the works for quite some time, and we hope to see it completed April of 2022. So looking forward to seeing it. It's a beautiful building. Next slide. So construction right now, if most of you are aware, we're still in the continuing resolution, which means we don't get money. We have to continue to operate the base at the same level that it was operated in last year. So we get no funding for new requirements. We can only do requirements that are ongoing. And so, you know, we can resolicit service contracts, but we can't build a new building. So those are some of the things that are holding us back from giving you projections for construction, because we really don't know when the budget is going to be signed. But one of the big things that our construction flight is working on is the multiple award construction contract. Joint Base Charleston has never had a multiple award construction contract. We've sent out requests for information, and we're looking at possibly having an industry day to get some more information from our contractors, our vendor base, to see and make sure that this contract that we put together not only works for Joint Base Charleston, but ensures that we're taking care of contractors too. Shaw Air Force Base has one. When we do this multiple award construction contract, we will add Shaw Air Force Base for emergency responses, just in case something happens at Shaw. work those issues from there. And they're going to reciprocate, and they'll have a multiple award construction contract with an emergency response. Say Charleston Air Force Base has a hurricane hit. It's hard to get a contractor out here because they've all been hit too. So we'll bring them down from Shaw Air Force Base. So we're looking at doing that. The proposal is looked to be posted out on SAM around March timeframe. But you should still look on SAM also to possibly see if they're going to have an industry day. And with this, I think, and please don't hold me to this, I think they're looking at possibly doing 3 to 4 contractors on this, or 3 to 4 contracts, and then also allow for on-ramping and off-ramping. So, and then for formal construction, we have a HVAC system that's pretty large for our flight line area. That one I think is already out there or will be posted soon. I do not think it's going to be closing though until after the holiday. So if you do HVAC repair, please go out there and look and see if you're able to do it. And, Mr. Hale made sure to put this in there when we issue the sources sought. Please respond, because it definitely helps us determine what set aside we're going to be using, especially in construction. All right, next slide. And our third flight is our plans and programs flight. Now, Miss Olivia Epps is a flight chief there. They handle our government purchase card program, and that is that is our credit cards that are out there that all of our other units utilize. It is a very big program. Probably over 500 people at this time have credit cards throughout Joint Base Charleston. And so not only does she manage that, we have our contract writing systems, our finance systems. U.S. Bank is what the government purchase card is on. It is a Visa, but many other systems that she maintains for us and trains us on also. Next slide. So my slides aren't very long and extensive because I did want to leave, time for you guys to ask questions and be able to respond. But also on top of that, I put our POCs on here. While I, as the Director of Small Business and also the Director of Business Operations, I take most capability briefings because my flight chiefs are very busy. So those capability briefings, once I receive them, I do share them not only with them, but on our units that would be able to utilize those items that you're trying to let us know that you are able to provide. But again, government purchase cards, Admiral Lee is our government purchase card program holder. And so these are their numbers. If you have any questions, I still would like you to direct you mainly to me, and I could take care of most issues for you. And I think that's my last slide, correct?
Yes, I believe so. Yes, it is.
Perfect.
And I actually have a couple questions for you as well that might help some of the people we have on this webinar right now. You talked a little bit about just now, you mentioned capability statements. Can you explain a little bit what that is? Because I want our clients and also those that are on the webinar to understand that a capability statement would be needed for all forms of government contracting. So this is something that they would need to have. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is preferred. I always prefer to have those capability statements sent to me prior to request for a capability briefing. And your capability statement is basically what your business can provide for us. The things that I look for in a capability statement is what NIACs do you support? What is your size standard? Because if I'm having a large business send me something and then I have a WOSB send me something, I will push more towards the WOSB to send it out. That's my small business side. But I'm also looking for your past performance. yes, we like to see what other government work you have done, but if you don't have government work, show us the commercial work or even state, education board, any projects that you have done that you've excelled in, and highlight any best practices you might have. If something that you've done across the board, now different agencies have picked up on, highlight that, because there's a lot of times that I'm looking at those highlights to see if I can fit them into one of the units that I have here on base.
Thank you. Thank you. And also a note for that as well to everyone on the call, we do assist with helping to craft capability statements, and that is one of the services that we provide. And thank you so much for your insight, especially coming from your point of view, dealing with looking through them and determining from there, who might be a good fit for these different contract opportunities.
Right. And one of the things too, let me mention, a lot of times with the capability statement only being in one pager, people try to put too much of one thing, not enough of another. If all you do is list 50 NIACs on there, which you can support, and I don't know anything else about your business, I probably won't shoot that out, because I'm going to have to find out what you actually do. So a good statement on what you actually provide is always wonderful.
Yes, and I believe that statement is usually right on the top of that capability statement
Yes,
as well.
ma'am.
Yes. Yeah, thank you so much for pointing that out. We also had a question. You spoke a little bit earlier about product service codes and how product service codes. Sorry, can you explain a little bit about what those are and how can people use those to seek business with you or any government contractor?
Sure. Product service codes are not much different than NIACS codes, right? They identify what you're able to provide. Now, we utilize product service code because it identifies more specifically what you're providing. A NIACS code might say air conditioning or HVAC, and then a product service code might actually state repair of those. So we do utilize them. You will see those on solicitations, and you could look up product service codes for the list, but they're mainly for our services side of the house. And, when you see them on the solicitation, you'll see the NIACS codes, and then you'll see the product service code, and that can help you identify better if you could provide the support we're looking for.
Great. Hold up 1 second. I think we're okay. I have another question for you. It says, how do we get introduced to potential primes and prime contractors for need services to support the actual RFP? We find hotels for crews, so there isn't per se a hotel contract RFP, but the construction contracts might have a hotel need.
Right. So after we award contracts, I can't say that we do it prior to, but after we award contracts, we always post the award notice on sam.gov. And that award notice will tell you what the contract is and who the contractor is and what their points of contact are, just for that reason, so that you could reach out to them to see if there's any subcontracting capabilities for you. Now, hotels as a whole, we have, our own small hotel here on base, but we also have, I think it's 32 agreements right now with hotels across Charleston, North Charleston, Kiowa, all of that. But we don't give those to our contractors. Those are only for military purposes.
Thank you. And just a couple terms that were out there. I just want to make sure that everyone understands. Can you explain a little bit what a prime contractor is and what a subcontractor is for those who might not know?
Sure. I mean, when I award a contract for a construction, I'm going to award it to one contractor. He's going to be my prime. He is the one that was responsible to respond to any of my inquiries. The subcontractors, a lot of times are primes or general contractors, so they will sub out small specialties to different contractors. They may sub out HVAC, painting, drywall, all different areas, because they're more the foreman type, the general contractor, and then those specialties will be subcontracted out. Now, as far as finding out for support of subcontractors, that would have to go through the prime. But when we work it, if anything happens, let's say something's wrong with drywall and that's the subcontractor did that, I would never go to the subcontractor. I deal solely with the prime contractors on these. They are responsible to take care of all the other issues within their contracts and agreements that they have. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think so. And I think it's also worth noting that a subcontract might be a great way for some people to get started, to really work their way up to being a prime contractor. So just want people to keep that in mind, to remembering those subcontracting opportunities. And I believe you said that those can be seen on SAM.
Correct. On SAM.gov, we post award notices for contracts that we do. Even if it's facility maintenance support, we'll provide the award notice, and then you could reach out to the contractor and say, maybe I can supply you with the toilet paper and cleaning supplies for that building, or I have a company that runs elevator repairs and we could take that on for you. So it's always good to reach out to those companies if you're able to provide that service. And if they've already got subcontractors that they've worked with, it's always good to let them know who you are in case something falls through, especially in this environment right now where we're having a hard time getting labor.
All right, thank you so much for that. And now we have a question about a product service code. I'm going to go back to that slide.
Sure.
See if we can. And it says you have a product service code 499. What does this entail?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I have to look them up. So I'm not sure. 499.
Okay, well, yeah, we can circle back to that, or tell them a little later to ask about that.
Yeah, it's a little difficult. Oh, I see which one we're talking about. The professional support. Support professional can be anything from medical. We do hire physicians, nurses, all of that. Most of that is done through DHA. They maintain the contracts, and we just do task orders, or, off of those main contracts, we're required to do that. Some other professional services we have IT support services. So we've hired someone to manage on one of our flight lines, for one of our flying squadrons, basically is a person on staff that manages all their iPads, which they use as flight manuals. So any issues with those iPads, that IT support person is there and helps repair it or replace it. But we hire the contract to maintain that service. They hire someone to come in and take care of that. Those are some of the things we've done. We've also recently did a contract that is it's very technical. I'm not a technical person, so I apologize. I'm going to try to get this right. But basically, out on our flight line, one of our flying squadrons, they maintain 20 different types of programs that they're having to put information into, and they wanted to see if they could do something to reduce that amount. And so there's a contractor that is working with them currently to get all their databases into one function that can populate all the other databases that we're required to put out. And then on top of that, there are other bases that are going to be put on our contract also, the C-17 bases. So because these are all C-17 programs. So we're looking at adding other bases to it. That's the type of stuff we do under professional services.
Great, thank you. And are there any opportunities for professional development under that?
So we have a training squadron. Our force support squadron has an education center, and they maintain all the training that goes through. We don't normally purchase any training because most of it is under the $10,000 mark. And so they're able to do that themselves through the government purchase card. And they also have a services contract. It's like an umbrella contract that sometimes they have specific training that they go to those contracts.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah, so no, I don't actually, our squadron, I think we recently did one training, and that was for the Naval Weapons Station. They had no other method to do it, and it was a specific speaker that they needed there that was a Purple Heart recipient, Medal of Honor recipient. So so yeah, that's the only one that we've had here in the 2.5 years I've been here.
Thank you for that. And we also have a question. If you all have any opportunities for trucking or delivery.
So I'm trying to think. I don't think we have any contracts for trucking or delivery. Most of that is handled through the Defense Logistics Agency, and we have our own logistics readiness squadron. But I don't want to be, I don't want to say yes or no. I have not reviewed any contracts for trucking or delivery. So definitely, if you have a question on that, send me your information, and I can send it out to the logistics readiness squadron to see if they ever have those requirements.
Thank you for that. And I have a question too, based off of the contracts that you do review. What would you say are the most reviewed contracts?
Facility maintenance, facility support, and construction are the ones that I have to review the most because of the dollar value. It comes to dollar value, and I review them as I hold 3 different positions. So I had to review initially as the small business specialist to make sure that they've set it aside, and that, you know, let's say they did an RFI and there were 6 small businesses, but they want to go to large business, I won't allow it and I won't clear it, right? So that's my first step. Then my second is the competition advocate for Joint Base Charleston. And in that, I'm making sure that we are competing actions, that it's not going sole source just for the preference of a customer. We have a lot of wants, and we try to make sure we take care of needs. And so that's where I come into play as a competition advocate. And then as the director of business operations, I have to review all contracts over certain thresholds and ensure that they're correct before they go up to our headquarters for review and approval.
Okay, thank you. And we have a question. Does Joint Base Charleston conduct any TAP training?
They do. Okay. Yeah, both Joint Base Charleston and the Naval Weapons Station conduct TAP training and executive TAP training, but we don't contract for that. But if there is something that you're able to provide specifically to TAP training or have questions about it, again, contact me and I could forward you to our force support squadron, and they manage that program also.
Thank you. And then we have a question. Are there any opportunity for coffee suppliers?
Excuse me. Can you repeat that, please?
Yeah, sure. Are there any opportunities for coffee suppliers?
Not through us, but we do have what's called our commissary, basically grocery stores, both on, excuse me, both on the Air Force Base and the Naval Weapons Station. We also have a retail store on both those locations. And if you're looking at, you know, providing actual coffee to them, I can get you in contact with AAFES and the commissaries to see if they're needing new suppliers. But again, most of their contracts are managed out of Texas, and they order off the contracts that are already in place, but there might be the ability to work with them. We do have a Starbucks on our base, so I don't know if you're looking for something like that, but we do have very small Starbucks on the base.
Thank you for that. And then we have another question. Do you need, and I think you might have actually already addressed this a bit, but do you need any health and wellness services for your military personnel? And I believe that was under the NAICS code 499, is that correct?
It could be, but health and wellness, we do have gyms on the Air Force Base and the Naval Weapons Station provide health and wellness, not only for our military, but also for our civilians. They do have a lot of programs that they manage themselves, but they also contract out. Again, those dollar values are fairly low, so they don't go through us. But we do have health and wellness programs. Again, if you have a capability statement you'd like to share with me, I could share it with those mission partners.
Yes, thank you. And also kind of piggybacking off of that, if there are capability statements you would like for Barbara to look at, also feel free to run those by us first, and we can help make sure that everything is set for that as well. Our counselors can help you with that.
Absolutely.
I see we have a general question. If we're able to get an electronic copy of today's presentation, we are recording this, and so I believe we should be able to. And I'll send out an email to our clients letting them know when that's available, and it'll be on our website as well.
And I have no problem with you guys posting it. So if you have it on your website, so.
Perfect. Thank you. We have a question. Are you looking for a vendor for PPE?
So PPE, not necessarily right now. We've gotten to a point where most people are keeping most of their masks and antibiotics. And again, those are usually under $10,000. So the units by themselves. But we just recently had a request, and we're not sure exactly how we're going to purchase it, but it's for COVID screening tests. And I know that most of the vendors that were providing PPE are now providing those COVID screening tests. So there may be something available with that, but we're looking also at FedMall and GSA to purchase those on. So it would have to be fairly competitive pricing.
Thank you. All right, let's see. Okay, we have a question about SCE&G. Is the SCE&G spend for monthly electric charges or projects on base?
Electric charges.
Okay.
And they do, repairs on their own, if we have a line that's down or they have to, we have a lot of problems with construction where our markings aren't very good on our, as-built. And so we'll have someone hit a utility line, somewhere along the way. So SCE&G does those repairs also. Thank
you. And another question is, do you have a need for courier service?
Not that I'm aware of. But again, I'm trying to think, because we do have a post office on base and we do have military courier type services on base. I'm not aware of any specific courier services that are needed. The only possibility I could probably think of is our legal office, and I could definitely share the information with that.
Thank you. All right. Are there any opportunities for welding or fabrication services?
Those would normally come through a general contractor. So that's where you would look at those subcontracting opportunities, because I don't think we specifically look for welding. We do have a civil engineer squadron on base, and they do have a lot of in-house capabilities, welding being one of them. But a project like Big Blue, which is the crane that we have out on the pier, that thing is probably 1950s, maybe 80s. I don't know how long it's been there, but there's always repairs that are needed out there, and we contract those out.
Thank you. Okay, so just for getting repairs on that would be something that would be contracted out.
Yes, I mean, we just recently had a lot of repairs done on it and a new paint job put on it. But you never know when something's a lot older, and I don't think they've handled that in-house.
Okay. And also I just want to emphasize, you just talked there about perhaps being able to find subcontracting opportunity.
Yes.
And again, that is something that PTAC South Carolina could help those who are interested with in identifying those subcontracting opportunities that might include something for welding or fabrication services.
Absolutely.
All right. And we have a question for, okay, this is, I believe, a two-part question. Charleston's Rigging is a rigging and industrial supply company in Charleston and Columbia. Are there any rigging contracts for small business women owned?
So I don't know of any rigging contracts. I'm not exactly sure what that encompasses. But I will tell you for women-owned small businesses, right now that is one of my, uh, you know, oh, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank, but that is one of my size standards that I did not meet this year. I have a certain requirement to meet my socioeconomic categories, which are small business, small disabled business, woman-owned small business, service disabled, veteran-owned business, and hub zone. And woman-owned was one of the ones that was right there on the edge of not meeting it. My other one was service disabled, veteran-owned business. So I'm definitely always looking out for those and abilities to get them contracts on base if we have the need.
Yes, and that was going to be my follow-up question. Earlier, you spoke a lot about set-asides, and I just wanted for people to understand when you say set-asides, those are those categories you're referring to. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. And those percentages that I'm required to meet is for Joint Base Charleston, not for our squadron. So even our government purchase card holders are required to go to small business whenever possible. They shouldn't be shopping at Amazon for everything, right? So we definitely look to support small business in whatever way we can. But yes, Congress passes the socioeconomic percentages that the Air Force is supposed to meet, or DOD, and then that goes down to the Air Force. It filters all the way down to us. And normally, the Air Force has a lot of big programs, and those big programs are led by Boeing and Lockheed. So they don't meet their socioeconomic set-asides. So our percentages are much higher. I'm required to do 85% of my business with small business. Period. And then I think my woman-owned small business percentage is 32% of, the small business set-aside should be woman-owned small business. So it keeps, I have all different percentages, but yes, it's a requirement that is levied down on us, not something that we pick out of the sky. And we did not meet them all this year.
Yes, and I just also want to emphasize that both for our clients and for those who are not our clients, just looking into getting those socioeconomic certifications so that you are able to qualify under that, because there is a certain amount of money that has to go directly to those set-asides, and so that can be a great opportunity for you all who are interested in doing business with the government, and we can help with that. So that's again another service we are offering.
Responding to RFIs is important too. Again, I want to emphasize that, because if we put out the response and, we've got hit or miss on socioeconomic categories, then we set it aside for small business. And then we may end up awarding to a woman-owned small business or, service disabled veteran, but we don't get credit for it because that's not how we solicited. So it's very important to respond to those RFIs so we know to set aside for those specific socioeconomic categories.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. I have time for about one more question. Okay, we have a question. What is the funniest or wildest item you have had to procure?
So it wasn't here at Joint Base Charleston. Prior to coming here, I worked for Indian Health Services in Arizona, and it was Women's Health Month, and I had to purchase an inflatable woman's reproductive system for people to walk through.
Wow.
That's probably been the craziest one I've had to do. There's been some wild ones, but that one itself will always stick in my mind, because I'm like, they actually make inflatables. So yeah, and walk through inflatables at that. So
that certainly is the wildest. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, ma'am.
And I see we have some, let's see, we have some responses for Barbara's email address. I will drop that in the chat at the very end of that, so that you all will have her contact information. We have a question. Oh, is there any type of training for a company in writing a contract?
So we don't provide it. You know, I know the PTAX assists in some. You also have the SBA that offers some. You have the SBDC, you know, Small Business Development Center, that has specific people that can assist in that. And then I'm trying to think who else. I would say the SBA and the SBDC are two of them, along with the PTAX, that can assist in writing them. We do not. If you were to ask me as the small business specialist here to help you write one, I can't do that because of my, you know, the different positions I sit in and review, and it wouldn't look appropriate. So yes, I would definitely send you out to the SBA or SBDC.
Yes, and once again, that in addition to that, that is another service that we offer here at PTAC SC. If you are interested, let's see, Brandon has asked that question. So Brandon, if you're interested in knowing more about that, if you already have a business established and you're looking for information of that, we could assist you with that. If you're, however, just starting off and more in starting your business, or just having an idea for a business, and then that would go ahead and direct you towards the Small Business Development Center. But again, if you want to go for, if you want to go to our website, it's ptacsc.org, and in our upper right-hand corner, there's a link to sign up. So again, that's something else that a service we can help provide. Are in the area where you're ready to do business with federal and state governments. All right, so we are going to go ahead and wrap up for today. Again, thank you everyone for attending. Please stick around for a couple minutes. I'm going to put Barbara's email address in the chat, so that you will have that. And again, if you might have heard something that you have questions about, or we were not able to get to your question, and if that is the case, please make sure that, again, you head to our website. We have different resources there for you, and also information on how to sign up to become a client if need be. Barbara, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to speak with us, and to really just get an insider's view of government procurement and what that looks like. We really appreciate it. And yes, thank you. Let's make sure that's everything. Yep, that's it. Thank you again, and we hope to be hosting some more of these soon.